But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA.
The WNBA just got a brutal wake-up call. Life without Caitlin Clark is about as entertaining as Netflix with no Wi-Fi. Utterly unwatchable. Playoff ratings are free-falling faster than your phone battery at 2 a.m. And now the league is scrambling to keep fans from dozing off. Did viewers really disappear into void, or just swap over to pickleball highlights? Either way, this postseason drama is messier and juicier than a reality TV reunion.
Is there any chance that the WNBA, that Kathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit? There was one matchup that this league can consistently rely on to produce massive viewership numbers.
The WNBA billed this season as the moment, the breakthrough year, the leap out of the shadows, the proof it could stand shoulder to shoulder with the big leagues. Instead, it's looked more like a giant pratfall. The league tripped on its own hype, landed face first in a vat of nacho cheese, and then tried to convince everyone it was a choreographed stunt.
A shocker. Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when Uncle Casey found out that the WNBA is struggling to maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game, the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest.
Let's be honest. This WNBA season has been a gorgeous train wreck, a dumpster fire you can't quite look away from. If you came for basketball, you got a mashup of injuries, foul calls seemingly made by refs squinting through cracked glasses, and a commissioner who treats player health like a friendly suggestion. If you came for entertainment, you probably bailed the moment Caitlin Clark spent more time on the bench than the floor. Her ankles apparently reclassified as public property by defenders auditioning for a crash test dummy commercial.
Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for this sport.
How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000. So the Fever in their game against the Minnesota Lynx was 1.219 million.
You know it's rough when the season's biggest thrill isn't the games, but fans betting on whether the league can survive until the playoffs wrap. Spoiler, it's still standing, just barely, strapped together with the flimsiest duct tape imaginable, labeled, "Please don't notice how bad this is."
NBA's black superstars should thank their lucky stars. For the record ratings, Caitlin Clark is detonating, even if new fans are mostly white fans. It doesn't matter what color eyeballs are. But the other day, I must admit, it hit me like Katie Bell Henderson telling me that's enough. I told myself it's not racist for me to like Caitlin.
And speaking of bad, let's talk officiating. The refs this season feel like they were recruited straight from a mall food court during the lunch rush. One still chewing a slice of Sparrow while deciding if that was a flagrant. Another looks convinced they signed up to officiate roller derby. Consistency? Somewhere between a magic 8-ball and a fortune cookie. One night a shove is nothing. The next, a hard sneeze gets you ejected. If referees had a stat line this year, it had read the same every night. Turnover 0. Bad calls every single possession.
The WNBA has a problem, and that problem is Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are eye-popping.
Now about those injuries, because wow, this season the WNBA has looked less like a basketball league and more like an orthopedic surgeon's Christmas wish list. Caitlin Clark has spent almost as much time recovering as playing, mostly because defenders act like she owes them rent money. Every drive to the basket turns into a new episode of How Hard Can We Smash Caitlin Before the Ref Notices? Spoiler, harder than you'd think. And she's not the only casualty of this basketball apocalypse. When Sophie went down, you could practically hear the commissioner's office sigh in relief. Oh, good. One less star to market. Then Angel Reese decided mid-season, you know what? I'm out. In most sports, that's a scandal. In the WNBA, it feels more like a Yelp review of the league itself. Because let's be real. If your commissioner can't keep the train on the tracks, if refs look like they're interning at clown school, and if players are dropping like flies on a July sidewalk, why wouldn't someone bail? Reese probably just figured she'd rather cash Instagram checks than risk another night being tackled like she's auditioning for the NFL.
Not a trend that the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up. We want to get these numbers back.
Here's the thing. None of this is happening in a vacuum. The WNBA has spent years begging to be taken seriously, to get the spotlight, to prove it's more than an afterthought. But the league itself keeps tripping over its own shoelaces. The commissioner acts allergic to player protection, like enforcing rules and keeping stars safe is just too radical an idea. For a brief moment, before Caitlin Clark's injury, the hype was golden. ESPN pretended to care. Highlights slipped onto SportsCenter, and Twitter suddenly acted like it understood the pick and roll. But the second Clark went down, ratings cratered faster than Angel Reese's interest in finishing the season. Turns out, if your marketing plan begins and ends with one player, and your officiating plan is let her get punched in the face, you're setting yourself up for disaster. Some will argue this is just a rough patch. Injuries happen. Foul calls are part of the game. But let's be honest, this isn't bad luck. It's bad leadership. The commissioner has been sitting back like a substitute teacher who's lost control of the class. Instead of solving problems, the league doubled down on ignoring them. Star players dropping out? It's fine. Refs making games unwatchable? The fans will stick around. Spoiler, they didn't.
At Indiana, against the Chicago Sky, right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again, and over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue to do things like that.
And the players who are still standing, they're stuck in games that look less like basketball and more like a mashup of rugby and pro wrestling. Half the time you don't know if you're watching the playoffs or WWE SummerSlam. You half expect someone to roll out a steel chair. Meanwhile, the commissioner is still on TV talking about growth and momentum. Sure, and I'm growing taller every time I wear high heels. Calling this season growth is like calling a house fire a new lighting design. It's delusional. These women are out there emptying the tank, even as the system around them crumbles. They don't deserve refs who blow the whistle like they're at a toddler's birthday party. They don't deserve leadership that treats player health like an optional side quest. They don't deserve a league that markets them when it's easy and ghosts them when it's hard. But here we are, the WNBA season limping to the finish line, ratings circling the drain, stars stuck on the injury list, and fans left wondering if the league can even survive another year like this. If this was supposed to be the season of growth, then congrats. It blossomed into the biggest mess imaginable.